And a change in behavior would be, say the bear is sitting there, rolling over a log, looking for grubs or insects to eat, and it stops doing that, and it looks at you. That would be a change in behavior. Probably not a good thing if that happened. So that would mean I'm going to stop, back up. If the bear were to follow me, I'd maybe change direction. Because maybe I'm between mama and the yearlings. And a yearling could be 100 yards. That's a football field away from mama. And if there's 2 or 3 yearlings, obviously you could see mama, and you're not going to see those yearlings. They're way out in the woods. Mama knows where they are, but you don't know where they are. And in a worst case scenario, yeah, I'm gonna make noise. I'm gonna yell. If the bear were to keep coming, I'd actually do whatever I can to fight it. I'd throw a stick or a rock or whatever I've got. But that's really very, very rare because bears eat. What do bears eat?
Insects.
Berries, fish.
Berries, insects.
Fish.
Well, you know, they're not really good at catching fish, but they'd eat one if they could get it. About 85% of their diet is vegetarian of some sort. Acorns, berries, sometimes just green leaves. The other 15% is protein, it's meat, but most of that meat consists of insects. Or anything else they could catch. They're good at catching frogs and salamanders. They're not very good at catching big stuff. Now the big stuff they'll eat is they will eat carrion. Who knows what carrion is? What is carrion?
It's all that they use and have in their stomach and they eat that.
Carrion is something that's already dead, like roadkill. So there's a lesson for you. If you do see a black bear, do not play dead. You don't want to pretend you're carrion, or you don't want to pretend you're their meal.
I'll always bring ketchup that way I can squirt on myself.
I don't know if that's going to work either. That might smell good.
You can squirt ketchup in there.
I know, the thing to be in the oven.
Another good thing to be aware of is you wouldn't want to like stop and have your lunch maybe in an area that's frequented by bears. Raise your hand if you can tell me any sign that you could tell that a bear has been in the area. What would you look for? Yeah.
Well, trees be all scuffed up.
I like that. The trees would be scratched up, and in fact, if you see trees scratched up, it's not right in a picnic area. If you see a tree scratched up, it's probably from a bear. You know, people aren't out there in the middle of the woods scratching up trees. And what I would do is I would look for scratch marks down here on the side of the tree. And then I would look for maybe scratch marks up here a little bit higher. And then I might look for some a little bit higher. You see what I'm doing? A little bit higher. I'm climbing the tree. If I get tired of climbing the tree, I might scratch my back. Oh, that's good. And then I'll move on. And if you're not sure, I want you to get up to the side of that tree and look right along the side, really close. And you will most likely find 4-inch dark brown bear hair. So when you see the scratched trees, look for that bear hair. The bears are looking for grubs, insects, or anything they can find to eat. In fact, one of their favorite trees in this park are trail signs. A lot of the trail signs are torn apart. Look at that next time you're hiking. I think what happens is bears are opportunistic hunters. They get up in the morning, they're looking for food all day, they've got no plan, they don't know where they're going, what they're doing, other than they're roaming around in the woods looking for food. And I think what happens is they're going through the woods, and they like going down the trails. It's easier to walk on the trail than through the woods. And they see one of our signs and they go, why? It's a square tree with writing on it. I haven't seen one of those. I wonder if it tastes good. I wonder if there's anything in there. No, I'll just scratch my back on there. Check that out. So that was a good one. What other signs could I look for that there's been bears in the area? What? What?
I always say that.
Hey, are you guys paying attention?
Uh-huh.
He said scat. Well, as a matter of fact, that is a really good thing to look for. In fact, I love poop. If you ever see poop, I want you to make sure that you check it out because you can tell what type of animal it is. You can tell how long ago the animal's been there.
As long as you don't.
You can tell what the animal has been eating. I'd like to poke it with a stick maybe and see what's in it. But now, don't actually touch it with your hands because there could be some germs. So if you ever find it, like I found some this morning, I want to show you. So you don't want to actually touch it with your hands.
That's something you can say you about.
But see, that is what bear skin is.
We're good.
Now, bear skin is usually like a big old flop. And
Nothing shows on poop.
the flop looks like what the bear has been eating. So let's say the bear was eating red berries. What do you think its poop would look like?
Red.
That's what it would look like.
My hair's not berries.
Which is a lot different than if, say,
My hair's not berries.
it was eating dark acorns. Because then it would
I had a horse in my head before.
a little bit more like this. And of course, here we can see just the seeds.
Okay, I'll turn around.
So that's very good. So we could look for scratches on the trees. We could look for scat. What else could we look for? Oh, that's a good one. He's going to look for prints. Now, there's a problem with looking for prints, and that's because, first, in order to leave prints, the ground's going to have to be sort of wet. If the ground's dry, there's not going to be any prints. And then the other problem we have, as I said, bears like to go down the trails because it's easier to walk. But now you guys all know about leave no trace hiking ethics. And that says, if you're walking down a trail and there's a puddle of water in that trail, you are supposed to go right through the puddle. And that's because if everyone that hikes goes around the puddle, it's going to get the puddle bigger and bigger and bigger and degrade the trail till it's just a big swamp. So, I know all you guys, in fact, if you don't, you remember, if you're out hiking with family or friends and there's a big puddle, you tell your family and friends that Ranger Lloyd says you are supposed to walk right through the puddle. But the bears here in the park, they don't follow leave no trace hiking ethics. So they come down the trail and they go, oh, there's water and I'm in bare feet. I don't want to get my feet wet. So they might not be leaving footprints. But sometimes they do. That is a very good sign. Any other signs I have before? One sign would be actual bears. If I saw a bear up in a tree or over there in the woods, not a good place to have my lunch. Let me tell you a little story about my hiking. I do most of my hiking with my wife. And we were hiking last year over at 20 Mile Ranger Station, which is all the way on the other side of the park in North Carolina. And we were maybe only a half a mile from the trailhead. We're walking along, and my wife says, oh, look at that. Is that an old mine shaft, that black hole in the side of the mountain? And it was a lot closer than the bus is to me right now. A lot closer. Anyway, I was thinking, you know, I know there's been mining in the park. But I didn't think there was mining here. And as I'm thinking this through, that mine shaft stood up, and I could see its big black ears, and it just went right across the trail. And my wife, she said to me, for the rest of the day, you have to walk first in line. So I guess if someone's going to get attacked by a bear,
It's over you.
it may as well be me. Anyway. Timber rattlesnakes. I want everyone to stretch their arms out as far as they can. Oh, because that's how big a timber rattlesnake can get. Now I want you to take a look at the palm of your hand, how big that is. Because that's how big a timber rattlesnake's head can get. Now notice how your palm is bigger than your wrist. That's the sign of a pit viper. They have a big head, a skinny neck, and then a big fat body. There's only 2 pit vipers. In fact, what is a pit viper? Anyone know what a pit viper is? You think you know what it is? A pit viper is a snake that's got a very, very special sensory organ. It's a pit. They have 2 pits inside their heads. And I can show you pictures of that later. That can sense heat. And they're so sensitive that they can sense the heat that a mouse's body gives off. So it's a pretty cool extra organ they've got. And pit vipers are poisonous. We have 2 venomous ones in the park, timber rattlesnake and copperhead. So they've got a big head, skinny neck, and then a big fat body. Because some snakes, they don't like have any neck at all. It's just, the whole thing is about the same except it gets a little at the tail. And some snakes will have a little bit of a head and a little bit of a neck, but they won't have that big fat body. And timber rattlesnakes come in all sorts of really beautiful colors. This is a very common coloration here in the park, which is yellow, but they come in orange and gray, and they come in black. Of course, this yellow. They come in tan. They are really beautiful animals to see. Now, the rattle that's on the end of them is not actually, sounds like this. Sounds like this baby rattle. That's just what it would sound like. If you hear that, not a good sign. That's what it sounds like, but it doesn't have beads in it like a rattle does. It's actually just flakes, sort of like your nails that are rubbing against each other. And I've got some actual rattles here. Now be very gentle with these, but you can take a look at those and pass those around. They're real, so be careful with those. And I've got a rattlesnake skin here. And you notice the tail is actually black. And all of them have a black tail. So that's one thing they will all have in common. And you see how he's got the fat body.
I want to touch it.
We'll have an opportunity when I'm done to touch more. I've got more snakes.